Um, I'd like to invite Dr. Ibrahim Mayaki, who's the Chief Executive Officer of NEPAD, which is the New Partnership for Africa's Development. The agency is set up specifically, set up by the African Union to address the opportunities and, in fact, infrastructure challenges in the whole of Africa. So his organization serves as the gateway for investing in Africa, if you like. NEPAD is the only organization which is a direct partner within the UN, which earlier today you saw Ambassador Magid Abdulaziz, who's the Undersecretary General for Africa, and then their only mission is supporting the NEPAD agency. So Dr. Mayaki, you've just come from chairing a major meeting at the United Nations, and we'd love you to share your thoughts in terms of what people might be able to do to invest in Africa through your organization. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. It's a real pleasure to be here and have this interaction. I will go through 4 quick points. The first one is about, PIDA, our strategic framework for infrastructure development on the continent, which was built bottom-up on the basis of the master plans of regional economic communities. The big change provided by PIDA was to reach a political and technical consensus on key regional infrastructure projects. So today, from West Africa to East Africa to Southern Africa, the countries composing these regions, within these regional economic communities, have commonly identified regional priority projects. And the big challenge in implementing regional cross-border projects is not really technical, is fundamentally political. And my dear brother, Minister from Rwanda, was highlighting how political determination, I'm speaking like Carlos, how political determination helped and is helping EAC move as what I consider as CEO of NEPAD, the most integrated region in the continent. It's about political determination, fundamentally. The second issue about PIDA is that we held a conference on financing infrastructure last year in Dakar. The main conclusion of the conference was not the lack of financial resources to fund the projects, it was the lack of bankable projects. And talking about bankable projects and building on that conclusion, we did create with the African Union Commission and the regional economic communities what we call the service delivery mechanism, which is an early stage project preparation facility, which can pick out of a pipeline of PIDA projects that will go through pre-feasibility and feasibility studies and present bankability characteristics in order to liaise with the private sector. Now, in that liaison with the private sector, with our partners and African investors, we did build what we call the Continental Business Network for one single reason. And that reason was related to the necessity to create a cultural change. What happens very frequently is that public sector officials do not have a private sector culture, and private sector operators hardly know how a public sector is working. So if you do not have a space that allows an interaction between private sector operators and public sector officials on how to solve the key bottlenecks related to infrastructure development, then you miss enormously in terms of implementation, and you go on in rhetoric, and a blaming type of process. So the Continental Business Network is a gathering of key operators from within the continent and outside of the continent that can have a direct discussion, not only on projects, but on key issues like non-tariff barriers, which there also need a political implication. What does that mean in terms of cultural change, behavioral change, organizational dynamics? It means that implementation frequently is pinpointed, targeted as a technical dimension. Implementation within the African context is not technical only, it is fundamentally political, supported by a technical dimension. And this is why wherever our heads of states and government put their feet into the implementation process with political determination, things move faster. So the monopoly of implementation, which was in the hands of experts advising political leaders, is ceasing now. And when you hear President Museveni talking about electricity very technically, it means that he plays a role in the implementation process, and this is a change that is taking place, and we see it also with President Kagame and other presidents. So this key change is extremely important in my view. Now, on the issue of the financial dimension, Carlos Lopez was reminding us this morning that we need to do our homework in mobilizing domestic resources. And he was giving one simple example. You increase by 1% the fiscal pressure. In Africa, fiscal pressure is the lowest in the world. We increase by 1%, it gives us $60 billion. And if you look at the funding gap of PIDA, which is about $45 billion, well, you have really a potential solution which can trigger effectively the implementation of our infrastructure projects. Lastly, I would like to say a few words for our partners here about the delivery process of a regional integration agenda. The optimality of the solutions to Africa's development is at regional level, not at national level. Whether it is about energy, about transport, about agriculture. Our solutions are at regional level. And in order to optimize that, the delivery process has 3 steps. The first step is the design of a continental strategy, PIDA, CADEP, etc. The second step is the regional translation of that continental strategy. So EAC, ECOWAS, SADC have regionally translated the PIDAs, the CADEPs, and the other frameworks. And the last step is the coherence between national plans and regionally translated strategies that have been designed at continental level. This is the coherent setting of the delivery of a regional integration agenda, and we are moving towards that. And it has been extremely well understood within the African Union, And our role institutionally as NEPAD is to make sure that we facilitate that implementation at regional and national level. The role of the African Development Bank is to boost their financial muscles so that they help the governments move towards that regional integration. And we have in the Economic Commission for Africa our think tank, which leads us in how to think about structural transformation. Lastly, beyond the rhetoric, we have 16 very concrete projects that are bankable, from transport to energy to IT, etc. These have been determined with a working group of the World Economic Forum, and we have filtered with critical criteria how they can be bankable and how they can be implemented. They are at the disposals of the private sector partners, and we disseminate the necessary information on these 16 projects, and they are ready to be implemented. Thank you.
Dr. Mayaki, thank you very much for sharing with us in terms of the opportunities. I hope you'll be around after the high-level segment is over, so that you might be able to meet with some of the people who are interested in doing something directly via NEPAD.
Doing business in Africa. You can't afford to be without Africa Investor.